Happy Saturday, happy Saturday. You are tuned in to the American Cream Show. I am your host, Hyacinth Henderson. And on Cream, I show you, teach you, lead you, guide you on ways to redefine the American dream. With Cream, that stands for credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. And as always, on this fine, beautiful Saturday morning, I got my main man T with me.
Hey, what's up? What's up, everybody? I'm Tavaris Jones, licensed stockbroker, licensed life insurance and annuity broker as well. And we came to bring some point. Well, we can't have a conversation first.
Yeah, it's just a conversation.
Just a conversation.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So, how was your week, Heisey?
My week,
it's my first time seeing you this week. It's been.
I know.
That's a first.
I would ask you, do you miss me? But I know they miss me. Whenever I come in the office after a while, I'm like, I know y'all miss me. It's been pretty boring since I haven't been here. But this is my first day being in the office all week.
Yeah. Well, seeing you. So, how's the mother / teacher / financial advisor / I guess chef / all that good stuff. It's a lot of slashes.
It's a lot of titles. Right?
Oh, you got a bike / cyclist.
Okay, here we go. here we go. Yeah, it's been interesting. So my week has been fantastic. Right? It's been fantastic. I did finally get a bike. Y'all broke me down. I finally got the bike. And I didn't get the bike that I originally was gonna get because they had some customer service issues. So we returned that one, and we went and got a new bike.
Yeah,
right?
Don't play with them customer service.
I don't play with customer service.
You have to tell me about that.
I'm not. Yeah, we'll have to talk. Let me give you your $1,000. Give me my $1,000 back, and you take your bike back. How about that? So I got a bike. I did my first ride on Monday. Thanks to my main man Antonio. He was like, listen, you got to get out there. You got to get it done and things like that. And I rode 15.1 miles on Monday.
Wow.
15 miles.
That's real good for your first ride.
My first ride. Yeah.
That's
15 miles.
How you felt?
I felt amazing. I felt amazing. I was going, I was like, yes, I could do this. You know, I'm a cyclist now, you know? And then I said, you know, we did 15 miles a day. On Wednesday, we're going to do 20 miles. And I got out there Wednesday and I was like, ooh, send help, right? And so the difference is on Monday, I also started a cleanse. A cleanse. It's a raw food cleanse coupled with herbs, right? So I'm taking 30 herbs a day, 30 pills a day. And only raw food, and it's for 20 days. Shout out to my girl, Diana George. I mentioned this cleanse last Saturday, and she hit me up. She's like, what cleanse are you doing? I told her, and she jumped on board. 48 hours notice, she was like, okay, I'm doing it too. I love that. So Monday, you know, I was able to knock those 15 miles out. But Wednesday, with only herbs and fruits and vegetables and stuff, I was struggling.
Food energizes the body.
Food in it, listen, it's
the
fuel.
Gasoline for the body, yeah.
It's like the gasoline. People don't realize that our bodies are like automobiles. And so when we talk about your body and what you put in, I always have to remind myself and others around me that your body is not a garbage disposal, right? It's not a garbage disposal. What you put water in your car. And they say, no, I wouldn't put water. Okay, so let's do this. And how does this tie into financial planning? Well, health is the real wealth.
You're right about that.
Health is wealth. One of the products where people transfer millions of dollars in between generations, build legacies, is life insurance. Yeah. So if your health is out of whack, you could kiss life insurance goodbye. Right. Or they're going to charge you more. They're going to rate you is what we call it. So health is really, really the real wealth. And also I say you want to be rich and sick or you want to be wealthy and healthy, you know? So anyway, I started off with the bike ride. Went to Lowe's. I got some stuff for my garden. You know, as I was reviewing my week in my head, I'm like, dang, I see that's pretty kind of interesting. Like, where you at now? And like,
I forgot about the gardening part. I forgot to add that to your slashes.
Yeah. But it's all good, I guess. It's all good. So I'm here. We're here. And so really quickly, for those of you who are new to the American Cream, welcome. You are in for a ride. For those of you who are loyal listeners and connectors, welcome back. We appreciate you so much. You all know that this is a financial educational show. It is untraditional, non-conventional. It is everything but. We talk about some of everything, but it all ties back to your money. We want you to succeed. So I have my stockbroker's license, and I like to say I have instead of I am, because, you know, the whole affirmation thing, right? But I am a licensed stockbroker, investment advisor, annuity and insurance broker as well. And more than anything, I am truly, truly committed to helping our people, our community, break the chains of economic bondage. I am truly committed to our community elevating themselves, empowering themselves, and educating ourselves so that we can go to the next level. Because at this point, we ain't here to be broke, right? It's like it's time out for that.
Right.
There's no point in doing that. So last night on Wind Down Fridays, for those of you who tune into Wind Down Fridays, thank you very much. If you don't know about Wind Down Fridays, it happens every Friday night at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live. It's where me and Diana George and Dee Bowden, my business besties, we get together and we just talk about our week. We talk about our week and we tie it in to entrepreneurship and business and professionalism, because first of all, we need a release. And then second of all, I believe that people don't realize how much everyday life, our everyday decisions, our everyday actions really play in the grand scheme of things. They play a huge part. So that's Wind Down Fridays. And so last night on Wind Down Fridays, it ended up being a 2-hour show. Can you believe that?
You guys are on there pretty long most of the time. I can go jogging, like leave the office, I'll go jogging, run about 4 or 5 miles. I come back, you guys are still on the show, having fun, chopping it up about good topics. So yeah, it's good to see you guys found a connection. Yeah. And you guys are consistent with it. And it doesn't seem like something that you guys are forced to do. It seems like you guys are just naturally excited about meeting with each other via Zoom and communicating.
And you're right. You do go do a quick jog real quick. I mean, I used to finish a show and Tavaris would still be here and then we would do some work and ride out. But lately, I'm look up and he's gone. Yeah. So I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah. And when he says he does, tell the people how many miles you run in a minute or hour. How it go? Miles an hour. He says he does a quick 4 or 5 minute, 5 mile jog. It really is a quick 4 or 5 mile.
Yeah, I can run a mile in about, I would say about 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Yeah,
1 mile in 8 minutes. Yeah.
8 minutes, 12 seconds, 8 minutes, 10 seconds, 8 minutes, 9 seconds, something like that.
He not playing. He being modest. He got it down to the T. 10 seconds, maybe 12 seconds. Depends on if I'm having an off day. 8:12 or 8:10, right? But as you see here at the Henderson Financial Group, we're into health and taking care of ourselves and our bodies. As a matter of fact, Antonio just rode 100 miles on his bike yesterday.
100.
100.
In the cycling world, they call it a century.
Listen.
He rode a century.
And did he have any formal training?
Only himself. He's his formal trainer. He's his formal trainer. So shout out to Antonio. I actually rode with Antonio on Sunday, last week Sunday, a week from tomorrow. And we did 50 miles together. And I took a nice tumble, right? I took a nice tumble. 1 minute I was on the bike, riding good. We doing like 20-something miles an hour, riding a nice pack. And the next minute I knew, I was on the ground. You know, my bike was on the sidewalk. My seat was all turned to the side. My chain came off. My water bottles was all over the place. I got 2 nice scars on one on my shoulder, one on my elbow. But I'll be out there again tomorrow. You know, I'll be out there
I love that. It happened fast. You said 1 minute you was on the bike.
It happened too fast.
Did you see it coming? Like, did you see yourself falling in slow motion?
Nah. When I was on my way down, I kind of braced myself and I just closed my eyes.
Oh, okay. Take that.
Closed my eyes. I woke up and I was
on the ground.
I was looking at the sky.
But you got back up.
I got back up.
That's the important part.
And we did 50 miles. I fell out, I think, mile 5 or 6. So I had to ride 45 miles, all banged up and bruised up. So it was interesting.
Wow, after you fell.
Yeah.
Okay, and you still did 45. And then you said you're still going out tomorrow.
Still going out tomorrow.
I love that.
Went to Walmart, got all kind of tape and everything, bandages. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, because when I seen the scars and they came back all bruised up, I mean, he's being very modest. I was like, what? Y'all need to go to the ER. What? Ooh,
I think that's the mommy in you. I think that's the mother in you.
But anyway, I like that they still got up and continued and went for it. And Tavaris said, listen, we getting back out there Sunday. Antonio just bust down 100 miles on his head like it was nothing. And so that's what you got to do sometimes. You're going to get knocked off track a little bit, but get up. The choice is yours. So when you get knocked down, you can either say, you know what, I'm down here, I might as well stay down. or I'm down here. Why did this happen? Oh man, the roads were wet. My shoelaces, these stupid shoes. I got to get me some. You can do all of that, or you can get yourself back up and keep going. And that applies to you in your financial life as well. You could be recovering from a bankruptcy, bad credit, whatever the case may be. You can either dwell in that space of where you are currently financially, or you can say, you know what, let me get up. Let me get up. Yesterday, I was reading a book to my children, and one of the word was prong that came up. And so I had to give the illustration of what a prong is. A rung, not a prong. A rung is. And so I gave the ladder illustration and painted this picture. And so what I told them is I said a rung on a ladder is a fancy word for a step, right? So there are some people who don't even know a ladder exists. They don't even know that a ladder is available to help them get to the top of that building.
Gotcha.
Right? And so if you're in that club, then you have some other work to do. All of you who are listening to this show, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube, you are aware that the ladder exists. You are aware that the ladder of financial education and financial freedom exists. Why do I say that? Because you're tuned into the American Cream Show. If you were not tuned in, then you'd be like, oh my God, I'm broke. How am I get up? Okay, I'm broke. Now they have this show. That's the ladder. Now you have to evaluate your current position and say, am I still on the ground? Am I on the lower rung? Am I in the middle? Where are you? You always want to be asking yourself, where are you? What's your position? Where do you stand? Because if you realize that you are, let's say you're midway through, and you're standing on that ladder midway through, you have a decision to make and say, okay, now I can either just stay right here, I can go back down, or I know there are other rungs up there, which means I got to get up there some kind of way.
So it sounds like the mental space that you in. Because if you stay right there, that's comfort.
Absolutely.
Right? You may make $100,000 a year.
Absolutely.
You know, and your friends or family members, you may be the first person in your circle to make $100,000. You're like, you know what, I can stay right here, I'm good. You know, that's the comfort realm. And then going backwards would be, something that we should never be doing.
Yeah,
but it happens sometimes, but it definitely happens. And to continue stepping up on those rungs, on those ladder, that's the challenge. To get to where you at, to get to that middle portion of the rung, it was already hard. Your legs are probably tired, you're mentally drained, you're physically drained, but upward mobility is what life's about. We definitely want to get better, not just in finance, but in all areas of life.
And everything. Even that's why I love your bike story that you shared with us, because at that point when you were riding and the next minute you were on the floor, you had dropped down a few levels.
Yeah, whoa.
And then you were beat up.
Yeah.
And you could have been like, Uber me home, please. Uber me, please. Right? Get me up out of here. But you're like, nah, I know that I was already up before. Let me get up so I can get back up. And then let me not turn around and walk back down. Let me get up, and I know I'm 5 miles in, but I'm now going to do 45 miles. So picturing that ladder, you got up, got back on, and you kept going higher and higher and higher. I want you all to take that and ask yourselves, where are you in your life? Where are you in your financial life? What are you doing? Always assess your position. Am I at the bottom of the ladder? Am I on the bottom rung? Am I in the middle? Have I been in the middle for quite some time? Meaning I'm just so comfortable because I may make $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just chilling here. I want you to imagine a ladder in everything that you do and say, listen, I know whatever situation I'm in, I'm standing on a ladder. Where can I go?
Right.
I know I can go either up, down, or stay the same.
I like that.
And the choice is going to be yours.
I like that. Seeing life as a ladder.
I see it as a ladder. Everything.
Wow.
Everything that you encounter, you got to see it that way. And it'll really help you improve, if you really want to improve, and elevate your life. Because it's a constant reminder that there's more. And oftentimes we sit right here and we think this is just the best it ever is. And I want to remind you that the best you've ever had is not going to be the best you ever have. You could have had the best meal in your life last night.
Tomorrow is right around the corner.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah, tomorrow's right around the corner.
It's up to you to determine if you want to seek more, get out of your comfort zone, and go to the next level. So last night on Wind Down Fridays, we were talking here 2 hours, and we started talking about relationships and marriage and things like that. And the question came up, Hyacinth, would you ever get married again? Everyone answered the question. And so this morning I was thinking, I said, let's talk about relationships and money and marriage and things like that. So I'm going to tell you my perspective, my take, right, on the entire marriage situation. And first of all, I'm not signing y'all papers. So I did that once before. We're not doing that again, right? So we want to call it marriage. We can call it marriage. We can call it whatever you want to call it. We'll define that. But I know I'm not signing the paper and sending it to the state or the government or whoever. We're not doing that next time, right? Do I believe in the power of a union? Absolutely. I believe in it. And I want that, right? So we're not going to settle. But let's talk about the money part of it. On the show last night, me and a few of the ladies shared that we're like, well, at this point, we have everything we need. We pay all of our bills. We are financially set. Mm-hmm. And I brought up the point that a lot of people are married not because they want to be, but because they have to be. Uh-huh. You know what I mean by that?
Definitely. When it comes to the sharing of monthly expenses, when it comes to mortgages or rents, car payments, stuff like that, especially when there's kids involved, because kids can be expensive. So sometimes money is the premise of a relationship, and that could be why divorce is like money is the number one cause of divorce in relationships, right? Because it all started on that money foundation. So that's what I get from it.
I love that. You said it started on the money foundation. So yeah, a lot of people are married because they have to be, meaning, I want to punch him in the head, but I know if I punch this man in the head, then who gonna pay the mortgage, right? Like, how I'm gonna get my car note paid? He upgrades my lease every 2 years. Mm-hmm. So when you take that off of the table, and for those of you who are out there listening, ask yourself, because I'm a strong proponent. I tell people all the time, you have to be able to, and especially this was years ago when I used to do mortgages, and women would come in and they'd have they boo, they fiance, they boyfriend, sometimes their husband. I would always ask them, can you pay this mortgage by yourself? Can you pay the mortgage by yourself? And they would look at me and I would say, listen, not that you have to. We hope you make it happily ever after, forever, ever, and then some. But can you pay? You want a house that costs $300,000 and you're a school teacher. Mm-hmm. Can you pay this mortgage by yourself? Mm-hmm. Because if something happens, maybe, he transitions, right? God may call him home. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you got split up. Are you going to be forced to have to uproot yourself and your family because you cannot pay the mortgage by yourself?
So it's important to be a forward thinker is what you're saying. You don't want to live life. You don't want to think life is going to stay exactly where it is. Kind of like what you just said, where your current state isn't going to be your forever state. And it's important for us as human beings to realize that. And sometimes we have to mentally put ourselves in the worst position and think, will we be able to make it out, right? Not wishing the worst situation to come upon you, but just putting yourself in that position to say, are there any strategies at hand? What routes would I take if this was to take place, right? It's good to have that plan B and that exit route. That's kind of like when you go into a big establishment or even at school, right? When we were kids in school, we would do that emergency evacuation from time to time, right? Now, the school board didn't want the schools to burn down. They just wanted the mindset, and they wanted the kids and also the children, the students, to be on the same place or the same mental avenue when it comes to if an emergency was to happen. This is what we're going to do. We're going to break out this way. Yeah. Right. And
so that you could pivot.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. And it's important in every avenue of life.
You can pivot. Yeah. So thinking about that, right? So for those of you listening, you got to evaluate your situation, right? And figure that out and really ask yourself, I'm not trying to start no fights and stuff. I sleep alone every night. So don't let me get you in trouble. Right? So ask yourself before you ask your spouse, what do you need to do to be able to be financially sufficient? I have a saying that I buy my freedom. Mm-hmm. I buy my freedom, and what that means is, I buy my freedom when I'm up at 2 a.m., working and things like that. I buy my freedom. What does that mean? That means I buy my freedom to not settle, freedom to not have to have somebody dictate how I live my life, freedom to not have to depend on somebody else to for my livelihood. So I buy my freedom. Doesn't mean that, hey, I don't want to align with the king. I do. But I'm not going to go into a relationship being dependent, right? So when we think about this in the conversation, and it really changes the dating game, right? Because now I'm not dating because I need a meal.
Right.
Like, I don't need you to take me to dinner.
Right.
I could, and plus when I take myself to dinner, I'm ordering everything. So now, so now I have to evaluate. Are you thinking?
It's the truth. That's why I laugh.
Yeah.
You know, Antonio is a pretty big guy. And Heisey, we've been at the table, eating office vibes or office, outings and stuff like that. But when it comes to Heisey's order and Antonio's order, you kind of almost can't tell who's who, And it's the truth. It's the God honest truth. And it's like that every time, right? Even when we go to Heisey's house to eat, she cook. I'm talking about a long table full of food. It's like, wow, she really does like to eat, y'all.
I do.
Look at her face. She just lit up. You see how she's talking about food?
Nom, right? But I do. And so now we're going to take that off the table because I don't need you in your guys' group chat talking about she just, I took her out and she won. Listen, I could do that by myself, right? So we take that off of the table and then it becomes, why are we going out? Why are we talking? What are we doing? Because if you take the neediness out of dating, and if you take the neediness out of a relationship, meaning you're financially stable, then what does that leave?
Right.
And so I want us to bring this to the show and ask you as a male, right? A male, very progressive, a forward thinker, financially stable, and then aiming to achieve more. Right. And the reason why I list all those things, because everybody, just like that ladder, everybody's on a different rung. Mm-hmm. There are some people who, they're fine where they are on that lower level. Mm-hmm. And that's OK. You should not try to date someone who is, 5 rungs ahead of you on that ladder, unless you know that you're about to lace up your boots and do double time so that you can get up on that ladder.
Right. I agree.
I mean, that in itself is big because most times people are like, well, I see you up there and I like it, girl. You doing your thing. You do all that by yourself and you do this and this. Okay, now come back down. Come on my level. And I'm, all right, why would I do that?
Oh, wow.
Right? So why? When I can be up here on my level by myself and this life is great. But anyway, I digress. I know my daddy every show after the show, my dad's like, Heisey, you said that? I can't believe you said that in the show. So shout out to my dad, Robert Henderson Jr. He'll actually be 62 on Tuesday. I know he's been telling y'all for a long time he's 62. He ain't 62 yet. He'll be 62 on Tuesday. But so anyway, as somebody such as yourself, what do you look for? I'm not going to say what you look for because this isn't a dating show, right? Mm-hmm. But how do you receive it when you see a woman who doesn't need you? She's not dating you out of need.
That's the perfect relationship for me to be in, right?
Okay.
As Neo had a lyric in the song, forget what song it was, but he said, "It's nothing better than a woman that wants but doesn't need me," right? So I really like that mindset. And I feel like with guys too, as being a guy and you single and stuff like that is really good for you to get the neediness off of yourself as well. Because if you don't want a woman that doesn't need you, you can't be looking for a woman that you need, basically. So you want to be able to stand on your own too. And that's one thing that I want to definitely thank my father for, because he raised me to be self-sufficient. How to clean up, how to wash clothes, how to cook even. And he stressed the importance because my dad didn't know how to cook. So when mom and dad would get into arguments, mom would, her way of getting back at dad was to, well, I'm not going to cook, and then he would have to go out and spend all this money, on food and stuff like that. And he stressed it upon me to learn how to cook. And for that, I'm truly grateful. It puts me in a position to where I don't really need a woman, but I more so want a spouse, because I understand that two great minds are better than one, right? So when it comes to searching for a spouse, or not even searching for a spouse, just living life and knowing that a spouse will come along the way, right?
Well, hold up. How you not searching? You the man.
Nah, I mean, but the thing is, I feel like, and me and Antonio had a conversation about this the other day. I feel like I am on a highway, right? I'm on a highway. And when you're on a highway, as you're traveling on that highway, you have lanes that are merging on where people are getting onto this highway, right? And when they get onto this highway, you guys are now headed in the same direction. Now, before they got on the highway, you were going maybe north, but they had to be going east or west to get to your direction.
Absolutely.
But eventually, you guys will be heading on the same direction. And I feel like that's essential when it comes to relationships, because you don't want to be headed north and your spouse is headed south, right? So what my goal is to be, right now, being that I'm single, I'm planning to be on my direction, going north, and I feel like somebody gonna merge onto my path, and we'll be headed in the same direction. I feel like that'll help a whole lot.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I mean, I believe that 100%. Like when people are like, where you gonna find a man? I'm like, I'm not gonna find him. He gonna find me. Right. So I believe that, but I didn't know that men felt that way as well.
I can't. I think I wouldn't say all men, because
Right.
it's not something that somebody instilled upon me. It was just something. It was just a thought. It was just a thought, and me being on my craft, I feel like it's a lot more important to me at this point.
Correct.
Than to find a spouse, right? I'd rather sharpen my knife, and in all honesty, I'd rather chase this money.
Right.
And I'd rather, sharpen myself and develop myself as a professional, and that person gonna come along. They're gonna show up.
I love that.
They're gonna show up.
I like that. I really like that. And I think that that's important. So let's say you're on your highway, right? You're on the highway and all of a sudden this car gets on and they merge onto the highway and with you, and you driving and you're like, okay, all right, I'm driving, and you notice, all right, you driving, and we've been driving along this. I keep seeing you basically at these same events in these same circles. We keep, every time I look over, your red car is next to my black car, right? And so you finally say, all right, well, let's at this rest stop, we're gonna have a conversation.
There you go.
Right? So at the rest stop, we have a conversation. And what are some of the things that because listen, I know I could tell within the first 5 minutes if I'm gonna like entertain you or not. And it wasn't always that way. Like I used to do a lot of charity work, right? I'm gonna be honest. My daddy probably kicking the desk at the bottom downstairs, but I used to do a lot of charity work. Now I'm like, I could tell within the first 5 minutes if this gonna work or not. So let's not do this. But how do you make that decision? Is it, okay, you're a female and I'm a male, so now let's exchange numbers and then let's start calling each other every day and let's start going out on a date? Like, how does that work? And then even, because everything is talking about where they are financially. So what are some of the indicators that you look for?
Well, indicators that I'll look for would be, I don't really go off of the eye, what I see on the eye, because I've got burnt with that before. Women that had nice cars and dressed nice, and oh my God, financial situation was just the absolute worst. And that happened so many times. I'm talking about Mercedes, red bottom shoes, and just, sleeping on a friend's couch, So I've been there. So I don't really go off of what I see to the eye. I'm more so daily routines, what'd you do today? And that right there tells you a lot about a person. What'd you eat today? That right there tells you a lot about a person. And also asks a lot about past and future goals. How did you grow up? And, what are some things that you do differently today opposed to how you grew up? So I find a lot of conversation. I find a lot of details in conversation about a person. And also I watch actions, because a person can tell you one thing, but you want to pay attention to the actions. I feel like that's really important. So that's more so how I go about it. And I can't tell within 5 minutes. I can't tell within 5 minutes. So I'm more so like to have a conversation. Maybe after a conversation or a few conversations, I can tell who has potential and who don't.
Well, so the reason that I say, and I like your process. Yeah. I love that you said that. I love the question about what did you eat today? What did you do today? Your daily routine, because that is so telling. Y'all know on Cream, I always say you got to change your routine.
Right.
If you want to make it to the top, you have to change your routine. If I'm having a conversation with you and you telling me about all the latest shows and the sitcoms, I already know we're not on the same page.
Right.
We already know. And so the reason why I say that I can do it in 5 minutes, I watch some of the same things you do, but it's a shorter amount of time, right? So, for instance, I'm watching how you interact with the people around you. Right. I'm watching your mannerisms and things like that, because I know that there's a certain level of energy that I need to be able to align with to not bring me back down to that lower prom. So if we're out and you fussing out the waiter and the waitress, no matter how bad she is, then I already know I can't go out no more with you. I already know that that's not going to happen. So I take your process, but I condense it really, really quickly. And it's not about flashy things, because really for me, flashy is a turnoff. Like, I don't want your shirt to tell me it's Louis Vuitton. Like, I don't, let the tag say that. And there's nothing wrong with you buying and wearing a Louis Vuitton shirt, but if you have the LVs all over it, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to tell you right now.
And you can't be sleeping on a friend's couch if you're wearing Louis Vuitton.
Right. And that has happened. That's been real.
Yes,
right.
Definitely on my end as well. So
Yeah. And so giving that example, right? Because for me, it's really about mindset and what goes deeper than what meets the eye. So let's use the Louis Vuitton shirt example.
Right.
For me, right? And since this is my show, I'm going to say it's for me, right? So someone who is wearing a monogrammed Louis Vuitton shirt or a name brand shirt and wants people to know that they paid, XYZ for this shirt, I already know we are on different pages, because for me, that is external validation that you are seeking. And so external validations mean now you're going to want me to validate you externally, like you want these strangers to validate you.
Gotcha.
And that's already a headache for me. I want to align with someone who already knows, listen, this is, and for the record, those shirts that aren't monogram, they cost more than the monogram ones. The ones who have the logos all over them, where you can see the big G and all that, those are the cheaper versions, right? So that's the true. Ones who you can't see it, and again, because I like quality, I want you to like quality too, because I'm not sleeping at the Red Roof Inn. Like, we need to be on the same page here. I want you to know that. I'm not doing that. But it says that you like quality and you don't have to be loud about it.
Right.
And I love that. And I need that and whoever I connect with, or whoever jumps on my highway and says, let's go to the next level. So what do you do when you meet a woman, or how do you, I mean, because I'm trying to I don't want it to be like the dating thing. I don't want y'all inboxing Tavaris like, yo, T, what's up? The man said he focused on his money, okay? What do you do? Like, what are some deal breakers for you? So let's say a woman makes $200,000 a year.
Right.
$200,000 a year, and her daily routine involves her going out to exercise. She gets up, she goes to work, whatever the case may be, but she doesn't have any money saved. What could be some deal breakers for you there?
Well, when it comes to that, right, I understand that nobody's perfect, right? So open-mindedness is really important when it comes to a relationship. And though she has a nice income of $200,000, that would be where I step in and I can show my value, right? And I can show you how to get from where you at now to saving a whole lot of money, right? But she has to be open-minded to receive that, right? Now if she's going to be if she's going to debunk what I'm saying and defend her actions and continue on the path that she's on, I can't force an adult to do something that I think that they should do. All I can do is, that's an indicator for me, right? That's an indicator that that's not the one, and I'll put my car in reverse and I'll start easing out of that garage.
I'm getting up out of this rest stop, and I'm getting back on the highway.
Get back on the highway.
Okay.
But so open-mindedness is everything when it comes to relationships, I feel like, because if you think about it, you got two different people that was raised two different ways, two different circumstances, two different mindsets, several different fingerprints even, you know what I'm saying? So when you trying to come together, take all this differentness on both sides and try to come together, it has to be some type of meeting of the minds, have to be some type of you think that's best? I'm gonna try that, It has on both sides, and I feel like that's essential to make it work. We can't be firm in your ways and don't want to, move or have any wiggle room at all.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. And you will be surprised at how many people aren't open-minded. But little things like that. And people always ask me, like, how, when you're on a date, at the first date, should you ask, about how much money they got or what their credit score is and things like that. And I'm like, well, no, we shouldn't do that. Let's have an open conversation and let's watch some things. Because here's the thing. When you start asking people questions, they're going to give you the answer that they think you want to hear.
Right.
It may not be the truth.
Right.
They're going to give you the answer that they think you want to hear. So they may tell you, I make $200,000 a year. Oh, how's your credit? Oh, I got an 800 credit score. Oh, and then you start noticing patterns and behaviors that don't align with what they're saying. And so do we drop them off right then and say, let me get back on the highway? No. We continue and say, oh, okay, well, like you said, you try to share, you try to educate, and you put it down and you see if they're going to pick it up.
Yeah, so you got to pay attention to the actions, right? Now, a crackhead gonna tell you that they don't smoke crack, right? A crackhead gonna tell you that they don't smoke crack, but if they stealing your stuff, they not taking baths, it's gonna show basically what I'm saying in their actions, their mannerisms, their overall lifestyle. So you can't really go off of what you hear, but you gotta kind of be a detective. Not saying go behind them and search and look for stuff, but just keep a close eye. Watching with a really keen eye and with great detail.
It's important. It's very important, and I like that you said that, because I think we need to bring this to the forefront. By the time you go to counseling, or you start putting your business in the group chat about your relationship, here's the thing: these signs and symptoms were already put on display in the very beginning.
Right.
But a lot of times, and I'm gonna go back to the food. Like, you wanted that free meal. You didn't have enough money to pay for your own meal the way you wanted to eat. So you were in this relationship, or you saw him driving a fancy car, and you knew that the last girl he bought her a new car, and you want a new car. So here it is, you're in this predicament where you're with someone who doesn't align with where you are mentally or vibrationally, and then you're depending on them for money. So now when we take those off the table, we got to ask ourselves, like, what is the point of a relationship, and how do we recognize certain things?
What about assets?
Let's talk about assets.
Assets and relationships.
Yeah. And
right?
I want to say too, I'm with you where you say, you don't have to have it all together now, but you got to be open.
Definitely.
Because if you standing in some boo-boo, and I'm like, you standing in boo-boo. No, I'm not. You standing in boo-boo. I can smell it. You don't see it. No, I don't see it. Let me get up out of here. But if you're open, I am. I'm standing in some boo-boo. Oh, I didn't even realize. I didn't know that you can use life insurance to build wealth. I didn't know that there was a debt elimination system. Nope. I'm standing here. I gotta go. So let's talk about assets.
Assets in relationships. So assets. Let's say you meet a guy, right? And of course you got your assets. And let's say at the time he doesn't have any assets at the time. So how do you respond to that? Is that within that 5 minutes, like, this ain't for me?
So go, you do the Heisey voice again. So it depends on where you are. First of all, how old is he? Right?
He is your age. Same
Okay,
as that age.
So you're my age. Okay, so then what's your background? Because what's your situation? Did you just get divorced? Did you have a business and it was affected by COVID?
Okay.
Did you have, what is the background? You not having any assets in this moment, because as Mr. Henderson loves to say, and I believe I heard him say it this morning, right now is a snapshot in time. So you may not have no assets right now. Can you get it back though?
Got you.
Can you get some? Right. So that's the hustler's mentality, right? So it's not about how much money you have and lost, like, because I believe a true go-getter, a true person that's going to get some money, that knows how to get money. It doesn't matter what the situation is. We're going to get it back again. Right. So that really determines on where you are. If you have no assets and you're fine with not having any assets, if you fine with chilling, and if you watching all the sports on TV, you watching all the games, no, we're not doing that. This is not gonna work. You got to get with somebody who don't have no assets and like to watch TV too.
Got you. So it's kind of like the same mindset, the open-mindedness, basically.
Open-mindedness,
and I guess situational, what took place in the past, and what you're doing to change that. Are you doing anything to change that?
Yeah, and do you want to change it?
Got it.
And do you? Yeah. I think it's very important. And so should we talk about how to handle money in a relationship? Not even a marriage, like in a relationship.
Let's do it. Now, I never been in a relationship that, I guess, that deep to where we were. But I answered it though. I'll give my idea.
Yeah, give your perspective.
I give my idea.
So here's the thing: I never asked a man for money. Okay. I don't understand. When I read or I can't relate. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but there are some, people who've asked men, and I hear stories from men about women asking for things. I'm never gonna ask you for nothing.
Okay.
But I do 1000% believe that everyone has a role to play. And so here's the thing. So y'all know I view myself as a goddess, as a queen. I hold myself in a very high regard. And you should hold yourself that way too, right? So it's not that I'm better than you. It is the vibration that I am on. So if I view myself as that I know that I'm going to align with kings.
Right.
A king knows he can't step to a queen without an offering.
Right.
That's just 101.
Right, okay.
A king knows that if he's a king, there are certain things that he brings to the table, certain things that he is going to do, certain roles that he is going to play, and I don't have to tell him to do that.
Right, because if you wear a king title, that's more off of your actions and not just off of, it's kind of like getting a doctorate degree. You can't just go say I'm a doctorate degree without doing the work. You know, you got to put in that time. I get what you're saying.
Absolutely.
It makes perfect sense.
So that's how I view it. So I'm not going to ask you for anything, but we can't be on the phone and I'm telling you, oh, you know, I got to stop for gas, and you know, I stopped for gas, and you lecturing me about why I'm stopping for gas, and it's 10 o'clock at night, and then I stop for gas again, and you never take my car and put gas in it. Close your mouth. Like, why are you telling me stopping for gas? Why don't you keying up and put some gas in my car? Now, I'm not going to say this. I'm just going to observe this and be like, okay, I'm going to hit you with, I'm going to call you right back.
Right. That works two ways too now. You know, women, same way, you know, definitely looking for a queen, you know what I'm saying? But that's a title, and that title comes with action as well, you know. Men, I can't speak for all men, but a man like myself, we want to feel that we were the queen, and not just hear that we, you know, I'm a queen, that title being thrown out there, but we want to see it in your daily actions. You want to see it in how you handle us as men as well. I feel like that's really important, you know. Yeah,
it's true. It's kind of like the LV shirt. I don't walk around saying I'm a queen, but a king gonna recognize.
Right.
And really, I take everything back to myself. I know when I'm in the wrong company. I'm like, okay, you don't recognize because you know what? I'm supposed to be here. It's not you. It's me. Let me get up and go. I'm not getting ready to demand tell you I'm a queen. Treat me as such. Oh my gosh. Put gas in my car. Tell me. I'm not going to do that and be like, okay. I'm going to just go ahead around the block. I'm going to go to the next rest stop, right, on the highway where a king is going to recognize a queen and understand. And so going back to the money and do you ask for money and things like that, I don't think you should have to, but I also understand that a man should understand his role.
Yeah.
And let me hear a man's perspective, because you know I be having these conversations with myself. I'm with my single self. So I wanna hear your perspective and you know, let me know if it's reality, if you receive that or not.
Yeah, so I think a man's role is to lead, you know. I think you got to take your household to the next level, right? And you have to do that, you have to have vision, right? And when you have a vision, it's important for you to have a spouse that understands, recognizes, and respects your vision. That's down with that, because if she doesn't, remember, you guys are going to be going in two different directions, and you don't want that, right? It's not gonna. There's no way to bring that vision to life if you got two partners that are on two different paths. It's like having a quarterback and a wide receiver that are on two different pages. You know, one the quarterback thinking, you know, he's running the deep route, and the receivers, you know, running the short route. So there's no connection there. So I think it's important for the man to have that forward-thinking ability and also have the courage to take steps to realize that, right? And what was another part of the question?
You know how my ADD. So my assumptions, my perspective, how does that align? What's your take on it from a male's perspective, right? So you're dating a woman, she's not asking you for anything. And so you jump to marriage. I'm talking about even before we get married. So before we get married, before I even make you my man, before I even say, yes, we're going to be an official couple, and let's say that there's a difference between meeting someone, dating someone, being in a relationship with someone, and then marrying them.
Yeah.
Most people meet someone, and they intermingle the dating and the relationship phase so quick, and then it's like, well, we had a conversation about watching actions and behaviors and things like that. Dating is really me choosing if I'm gonna be with you or not. And on the same token, it's you choosing too. Yeah. Like I don't want to know that just because I'm a woman and you see me on Facebook, you're like, yeah, Hyacinth, let's date and let's get married. Like, you don't know me. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm talking about in those stages, in the talking phases, and then maybe in the relationship phase. How do you show up as a man? Does money become a topic of conversation? Are you dating a woman who's asking you to pay her car note? Are you dating a woman who expects you to only pay for the dinner meal? Are you dating a woman who, like, how does that work? How do you exercise your kingship in a relationship?
Yeah, so when it comes to dating, right, I don't mind paying for dates, you know, when we're going out, especially the first few dates. I don't mind that, right? Car notes, rent, more, you got the wrong guy, right? Right plan, wrong man. Big X. So when it comes to Also with dating, but
What if you're in a
I'm the type of-
relationship? Are you paying car notes and rent?
no, that's where we have a conversation to where you managing your money. And it also depends on where she's at, what took place, right? I probably said no kind of too fast, and my face was maybe that's the but whatever. But
And no,
that's the side
I'm
note.
not judging you, because here's my thing, ladies. I feel like you should be able to pay all your bills.
That too, but I understand things happen, right? So let's say something took place. You know, it's COVID going on, and she had an emergency fund, and she drained it for some sort. You know, some reason she drained it. Something took place, and she needs me to step in temporarily. It depends on how long we've been dating. It's a long list of qualifiers.
So let's say we hit all those markers, because you running circles around this bush here.
It's a long list of qualifiers.
Then she got to ask you. You know, COVID.
Oh no,
she
not
been
she don't have to ask.
okay. You gonna leave it on nightstand?
No, I'm gonna give it to her. I'm gonna give it to her.
So
That sounds like some old man type of sugar
I
daddy.
left your package on the nightstand, baby. I know COVID hit you
Right.
in times it's hard.
Right next
I
to
don't
my-
want them to come pick up that car.
right next to my dentures and my Bengay. I left. Right.
It's on the nightstand. So let's go back. She needs to be able to pay her monthly bills.
Definitely.
But you will be observant enough to know if she got this going on, that going on. You may.
I feel like it come out of conversation, right? You know what took place today. Oh, I spoke to my mom and I had to do this. I had to give her. I had to send her money, and that kind of like set me back because I had to do this. It'll come out, you know, and then you have to pay attention to what the conversation is, and also you have to pay attention to this person. How often are they in these situations? Because that's a red flag to me. You know. I feel like I don't see myself asking a woman for money. I never asked a woman for money before, and I don't want our relationship to be based off of borrowing from each other or helping each other out. You know, so I think it's really important for us to get on the budget. You know, we can show each other how a budget works, and it's important for us to know our how much it costs for us to live on a monthly basis. You know, important for us to get on the savings plan, so that way we don't have to have those little tedious little situations and things of that nature.
I love it. I love it. So me and these conversations I'm having with myself, I am in alignment. Yeah. I'm not just making it up. I
am single though, so I don't know if it's really this is a desire of mine. This is what I envision myself to be in.
Here's the thing: if you envision that, there's someone out there envisioning the same thing.
Okay.
So I like that. I like basically you said, listen, I'm not paying your monthly bills. I'm not your sugar daddy. I ain't leaving it on the nightstand. I'm not taking care of you, but I'm going to be so in tune with you and connected to you that as during normal conversation, if I hear some things, I may know that you've had a lot of expenses come up, then I'm going to pay you. I'm going to not pay you. I'm going to give you some money. I like that.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to investing in a property together, hey, you got the right guy. Well, you got a business idea that makes sense. You know, you got the right guy.
So you would invest in a property with someone you're dating?
Not dating. Oh, no.
What about in a relationship?
No.
So you got to be married to invest in a property?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I would encourage her to get her own, because if I'm accumulating assets, right, accumulating property, I would encourage her to get her own. You know, and that's another way where she don't have to ask me for no, because she got, you know what I'm saying? So it's really like you give the knowledge, so you don't really have to give the greenbacks, if that makes sense.
I love that. But she has to be open to receive the knowledge.
Definitely.
Some people not. You can be like, listen, I know they got a property over here, and I'm about to get one. You can get the one next door, and she like, nah, she not on that. Then you're not with her no more.
I'm getting back on the highway.
But see, it's hard to do. Let me put this on here. I know my daddy downstairs. But let me say this. It's hard to do once you jumped in bed with somebody. Because after you jumped in bed with somebody very quickly and you start exchanging that kind of energy and you tell her about this deal and she doesn't want to, take advantage of that deal. She's like, nah, you go ahead. But she still has her hand out. Then now, are you really getting back on the highway? Because you was just in bed with her.
Say that one more time.
I'm not. Come on, man. Basically, see, we live. Like,
I'm trying to get it together. You painted a scenario, and I'm trying to.
Okay, let me paint the picture. So you say you're getting back on the highway. It's easier to get back on the highway once you have not jumped into bed with somebody.
Right.
So this goes back to the beginning of our conversation when we start talking about you're listening, you're watching their actions, you're having conversation, you're being observant. While you're doing these things, if you get in bed with somebody, I feel like that sacred energy exchange, that sex that you start engaging in, starts to muddy all of that. So now what you'll do is you'll find yourself in a position where you know that you're investing, you're building assets. That is what your goal is. And you're trying to throw her, you know, some balls and like, hey, let's do this. And she doesn't want to do it. It's a little bit more difficult for you to realize that you're about to pack your stuff up and get back on the highway when y'all done started having sex and relations and things like that.
Got you. So I had to learn the hard way that it's really important to not lead with sex, right? Because sex, it damages a whole lot. When I say damages, men and women are two different creatures, both human beings, right? Or humans, but two different creatures. We think differently and we react differently to different things. And one of those different things, or one of those activities, is sex, right? So men don't see sex the same way as women. So when men,
what do you mean by that?
It's a lot more emotional for women.
Okay.
A whole lot more emotional.
And y'all just doing it.
Some guys, right? Some guys. So
okay.
When the guy gets his car blown up, like the guy with the Jeep that was on social media a few months ago, you know, that situation. You got keyed up cars and sugar in your gas tank and all that, and you wondering like why? It's because her emotions were involved because of the sexual activity that you guys are having, and you just in la land sexually as a man, right? So I had to learn the hard way to, not lead with that. Instead of before we take it there, I got to feel you out. Like before we.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a line, but it got profanity in it.
Yeah, Mr. Henderson, he gonna get you. Let him get me. I'm used to getting into about this. So don't join this club. I mean, you can. Come on in, say it, T. Say it.
Nah, peer pressure. Nah. Nah, but yeah, before we take it there, we got to definitely chop it up, and get a real understanding for one another, just to make sure that this is right for both of us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because I know for a fact that I will put my car in reverse real fast and get back on the highway real fast. And I don't want to be emotionally irresponsible for somebody else. You follow me? So I feel like just like it's financial manners, like when you at a dinner table, you don't want to be the person to pay every time. I feel like it's relationship manners as well, and emotional manners as well. So that fall under emotional manners
and responsibility, right? Yeah. I agree.
It's a lot going on. It's a lot of diseases and stuff floating around, and then you got COVID. It's just oh my God, you just don't want to just lay down.
Like, don't touch me.
Yeah,
right. No. But it goes back to how you view yourself, right? So again, if you view yourself as a king, then you're not out here just giving your kingly body to everybody.
Right.
And it's okay to say that. If you view yourself as a queen or a goddess, you know that you're not out here doing the same exact thing. You're like, wait a minute, hold up. I'm not getting ready to do that. I love myself. I respect myself. I want to honor my temple. And it all ties back into relationships and marriage and things like that down the line. Yeah. So all these conversations, you may be like, what does that have to do with money? It has a lot to do with money. Because if you take your time and don't jump in the bed, if you take your time and watch actions and daily routines and observes, if you take your time and step into your role as a queen or a king, then you may, we done made it through this step and I've observed and seen some stuff. All right, now let's see. By the time you get into marriage, if that's your thing, if you want to sign the paper, y'all know I ain't signing nobody paper. But if you get in, by the time you get into that, you have had the opportunity to really know what you're getting into. I mean, unless the person just goes crazy, like unless something happens and they just fly off the handle. But most times people are who they are when you meet them. Well, after the first 90 days. Because after first 90 days, you're meeting a representative. After that, then they like, you know what? I got him now. I can let it all hang out. Nah, I ain't saving nothing.
So going back to your 5 minutes. Yeah. So you just said 90 days, that person, that's not really them, that's the representative. So what about 5 minutes? The 5 minutes.
The mindset, where you are. Just where your everyday life. So really the 5 minutes is just talking about your everyday actions and things like that. For instance, and I'm going to say this right now on live. My daddy going to be like, you said it. Yes, I said it. I already know if you ordering ribs, it's not going to work.
So now.
But let me give you that example. Let me tell you why it's not going to work. Really and truly, why let's say we're out and we're at a networking event and you having the pork sliders, it's not going to work for me because I already know, everybody knows now we are health conscious. And when I say everybody, it's based on my small silo, right? We're health conscious. Like, you still eating pork ribs? Where's your mind? What are you educating? What are you putting in your body? Do you see yourself as a king? So for me, when I say the 5 minutes, it's little things like that I can tell, because if you still eating pork, you on a different prong that I am.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to say that you're on a lower level. I'm going to say we're not on the same prong. And it makes no sense in me suffering through you trying to pull me back to your prong. And I don't have no time to be trying to pull you on my prong. Gotcha. So that's what the 5 minute thing. Come on, go ahead with your next question.
Okay.
What were you going to say? You forgot?
No, I was going to say something about the patience. When you were talking about it goes to waiting, waiting it out to pay attention to this individual, to make sure that they are who they say they are. And I feel like that aligns with money when it comes to patience, right? When you're saving your money, you got to be patient for that bank account to grow. When you're investing your money, you got to be patient for that investment account to grow. When the stock market takes dips, so you got to be patient for the stock market to come back up. So relationships and money are tied in more ways than we actually know it. And when you move slower, I feel like you gain a lot more. You gain a lot more, not just money, like I say, stock market, but also you gain a lot of knowledge and insight when it comes to dealing with people. Yeah.
And here's the thing, right? So from the perspective of men and women, sometimes we can mess up a lot of good connections. And when I say relationships, I'm not talking about all romantic relationships. So let's use the word connections. You can screw up a lot of good connections because you were leading with your with the flesh. Yeah. You wanted to jump in bed, you wanted to feel on the booty, you wanted to do all that, and not realizing that this person is really a solid person. Like, if you had been patient and just really got to know this person, you may have realized, okay, we're not meant to be a couple, but we can be, friends. Right. They can be a go-to, a business partner, or somebody like that, somebody to toss ideas around. But if you're jumping in bed, or if you're leading with the flesh, but then again, that also takes a level of elevation. Yes. That's going to tell me where your mindset is. Yeah. So that goes back to my 5 minutes. And I know you don't like the 5 minutes. Maybe I'll say 10 minutes. I'm going to give them 10 minutes. But if you're leading with, oh, you so sexy, and then you look at, I already know we can't do this. Because you're leading with the flesh. You know what I mean?
I agree.
But all of these things they're key indicators. And so why can I be upset if a man approaches me leading with flesh, and he around here eating McRib sandwiches, and I'm trying to meditate and do a cleanse, and now, 3 months later, he like, why you eating them raw foods? You could cook them vegetables. Like, why, bruh, he was eating a McRib sandwich when you first met him. Why am I surprised? You know what I mean? But a lot of times we get into that shiny object syndrome. Okay, well, he had on red bottoms, or he had a Rolex, and I wanted to entertain him because those things caught your eye when you knew that you weren't aligned anyway. Right. But when you have your own money, it don't matter if he got on a Rolex, a red bottom, or whatever the case may be. You're looking past all of that and looking at what matters most. And that can only happen when you are financially sound. Because if your money ain't right, everything else is out of order. You don't know if your lights getting cut off, if they coming to repossess your car. You are making irrational decisions. So really, financial responsibility is a huge responsibility that affects so many other areas of your life. Relationships is a huge one, and people often don't think about that. And it's not bad, it's just the society that we're in. But you have a choice and a decision to make, and be like, yo, I'm not getting ready to put up with this. I'm getting ready to do something different. And to your question, when I think I asked you, would you invest in a property with someone you're dating, and you said no, I would say no too. Yeah. So we're not putting our money together in that regard. Like, unless if it's a big project, but then we got lawyers involved. Yeah. And a lot of times people don't want to have lawyers involved. But I'm going to have my lawyers involved.
You can't do business with a handshake and a smile.
Absolutely.
We should have learned that, we were supposed to get our 40 acres and a mule. We ain't got it yet.
Still waiting.
Yeah. And that was done off a handshake and a smile. Yeah. So, I think that's a slippery slope when you purchase something like that with somebody that you don't really have, somebody you could just wave bye to and they gone, somebody that can just jump back on the highway, and they got this asset, or they got even a joint account. I'm kind of, whoa, joint account, whoa, joint account, joint
How you feel about that?
Joint account. I'm not okay. We can have a joint account for. Well, first we gotta live with each other. We have to live with each other first.
Dang, we gotta live together to have a joint account?
We gotta live with each other.
Can we live next door to each other?
No, then our accounts we can have next door bank accounts too.
So living together is a badge of honor. It takes you to the next level, and now we can have a joint account.
That's the point of having a joint account to me. That'll just be for the little household expenses for our house that we share together, right? But I'm definitely
So I guess
not
I ain't having no joint.
I'm not opposed to having an account. I like having my own account outside of my relationship. Now it won't be a secret account. I'll tell her about it, you know, and I want her to have her own account as well. And, you know, I think that's really important for you to have your own, and for you to, now the joint account can also be for vacations. It can be for, you know, let's say that property that we're saving together, or let's say, you know, we have just something that we're planning to do. We can use the joint account for that. But to have all my eggs in a joint account with somebody else that can just, you know, people lose their mind sometimes. She might just wake up and say, you know what, that's all my money. I'm gonna go to the bank and just take it all out, you know. And I just pull out my phone, I check the account, I see there's nothing there. I'm calling this person, they ain't answering the phone. Like, that's just too, I work hard for my money. I work too hard for it.
For the money.
Yeah.
So no joint account unless you living together, and all your money not going into the joint account, even if you live together.
No, I sprinkle a little something there though.
A little something. So do we sit down and have a conversation where we say we're each going to contribute XYZ to the joint account on a monthly basis, a weekly basis? How does that work?
Yeah, we gotta have a conversation. We gotta have a conversation. If I'm gonna put my money with yours, we're gonna have a lot of conversations.
So now, what if one person makes, you know, $200,000 a year, and the other person makes? Would you date somebody who makes? If you made $200,000 a year, would you date somebody who made $40,000 a year?
It all depends on the why, and also the mindset. Let's say, now if she's comfortable at 40,000 and like she don't want nothing, no, I can't do it. Okay. Now if she makes 40,000, but she's every time when she get home from work, she's working on a grind. She's sharpening a knife of some sort that's gonna spring her far and beyond this 40,000. You know, she's working on something. Okay. You know, but just if you just comfortable, if you right there, that go back to the ladder. If you right there, that comfortable ladder space, then nah.
So she make 40, you make 200. How much you putting? Y'all putting equal amounts in the joint account?
No. Okay. I wouldn't do that to her. That's highway robbery.
Okay. All right. Okay. Look at you having a little heart.
So we'll do it with percentages, you know. Percentages.
Because you know Tavaris is Scorpio.
Yeah.
Y'all Scorpios.
We'll do it with percentages. I actually always talk bad about Scorpios.
How did I talk bad? What bad? I just said y'all Scorpios.
That was the bad part.
You don't like my laugh? You don't like my action?
Still laughing.
I'm still laughing. Okay. All right. So I like that. So joint account, based on percentages, having a conversation. So it all goes back to, like you said, you started and said, we're going to have a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to have a conversation. Take it slow, take it easy, and just really observe. Don't take no wood nickels, as my granddaddy used to tell me, right? I don't know if we missed anything.
What's a wooden nickel?
It ain't a wooden nickel. You know, a nickel.
It's fake.
It's fake. Oh. It looked like a nickel. You may think it's a nickel, but it's fake. It has no value.
Got it.
It has no value. A wooden nickel has no value. Don't take no wooden nickels.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
So that's what we are. That's our spiel on money and stuff. And really and truly, these conversations should be had now. Your children should be having these conversations. You should be having them with your children. And you don't got to ask nobody, because if we go out on a date and you ask me, what's your credit score? I'm check and I'll pay. I'm gonna slide you my platinum card. I'm up out of here. Like, we're not having these conversations, right? But observing and things like that is what we want to do, because we want to make sure that each person, and I firmly believe each person should be financially stable before you get into a union. If you are not financially stable, you have no business dating. You have no business chatting. You have no business. Your focus, your highway should be leading to financial stability. If you are not financially stable, then the class that you need to be in is, how am I going to get me some money? And then once you become financially stable, then you can say, all right, now I'm financially stable. It's kind of like, you know, I'm climbing up this ladder by myself. Now I can carry somebody else on the ladder with me. But you trying to carry somebody on a ladder that you ain't never been on, one of y'all gonna fall down. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And then you get there and like, oh my gosh, we're having money problems and things like that. Well, let's have some accountability. And I'm big on accountability. All right, let's go through comments.
I think it's really important to first define, though, what financially stable means. You know what I'm saying? Because it can mean different to different people, especially if you come from a household where, you know, lights cut off every other month. when you get older, you become adult, you get your own place. You might think financially stable is being able to pay your bills on time without the lights getting cut off. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's another conversation to be had within the relationship before the relationship even starts. Right? You want to define what that means, what financially stable means, and how can we display it in our union.
Maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Bingo.
What does financial stability mean to you? Financial stability in me and financial stability in you.
Got it.
Somebody write that down, because y'all know I'm going to forget. Right. All right, let's give our shout outs real quick. We got my girl June, always sticking and staying. Diana, my good friend Diana. I will tell you, this morning I woke up, my stomach was on flat, so I'm sticking with the raw diet. I know I talked a lot of trash about it last night, but I'm back in the saddle today. We got Miss Redhead, Erica Owens, CK Black, Curtis Kegler, Damian Nelson, Denise Ward. I don't know why Antonio comments so fast. I don't got my glasses on. A.B. Brown, most people waiting on permission to get up and don't realize it. You are 100% correct. You are 100% correct. Most people are waiting on permission to get up. I had a brief conversation with my dad the other day, and I said, really, at this point, everybody who's broke either are lazy or their karma, their destiny is just meant for them to be broke in this life cycle. I know.
I think lazy though, because it's at your fingertips. You know what I'm saying? It's at our fingertips. I don't think anybody.
Well, it's at your fingerprints because of where you are. You're in the room to have these. There's some people don't even know this. What we talking about? They don't even know cream exists.
Right, and I get that, but through this lovely internet, and I say fingertips because everybody got a smartphone nowadays. Ain't nobody walking around with a flip phone. My grandma even got an iPhone. I don't even have an iPhone, right? Yeah. And I feel like it's at our fingertips. You could just Google how to 10 ways for a side hustle. You can go on YouTube. You know, there's several different videos on YouTube. 25 ways to make money on the side. It's there.
But see, I'm with you, but that's why I say either lazy. So the people who know that they can Google that, they know that they can do their research, and you still broke, I put you in a lazy category.
Right, definitely.
But there are those people who don't even realize that they could Google that. There are those people who don't even know that they can own their own business. I know we live in Miami. This is what I was talking about, this whole level of awareness. We live in Miami. We're like, oh my gosh, we could do this, we could do that. There are some parts in Florida where people, you'd be like, oh, you go on Facebook? What's Facebook? They don't even know Facebook exists. They don't know how to use Facebook. They don't know what to look up on Google. They don't know how to do it. And so those are the people who I put in the category of, maybe this is your karmic cycle. That's where you at. But if you are in the category of, you are on the internet and these internet streets every single day, you roll over and check your social media and you broke. You roll over and check your social media and you're dependent on somebody else to pay your car note and things like that. You wake up and you don't have 6 months of your living expenses set aside. You are lazy. Call me out about it. You are lazy. Those are the people who are in the lazy category, because just like Tavaris said, you can Google. There's so much information out there now. You don't have to have a 4-year college degree anymore. You can, it's a million ways to get some money. But if you know that and you still decide to use your time and, be foolish with it, then you lazy.
Got you. I agree with you on that.
But the people there are some people, it's just your karmic destiny. You don't even know what we talking about this. We could go some parts of Florida, some parts to take a road trip, and we be like, y'all don't have paved roads. The video you sent me this morning, the guy was talking about how he had to move and there was no running water in the house. This is real. It wasn't a video from back in the day. So those people, maybe it's just your karmic destiny, bruh. Where you at? You ain't no running water for you this season, this lifetime. But for the rest of y'all, those of you who are on this show this morning on YouTube, on the podcast, if you are under the sound of our voices, ask yourself, am I lazy because I am broke? Am I broke because I am lazy? Right? All right, Aaron Harris, where can we find the Weekly Wind Down? It should be saved to my Facebook. If not, we are going to start doing a Weekly Wind Down podcast. So the audio from Facebook, we're going to put it on a podcast. That's going to launch October 2nd, I believe is the date that they told me. June says Miss Independent. Yes, that's the Neo song. That's my jam too. Precious, shout out to Precious. We waiting on them shirts, girl. A.B. Brown, I want to read the comment out loud. Can you scroll up? Thank you. A.B. Brown, honestly, I feel until we openly have that conversation on addressing mental illness, a large percentage of our people will never see the importance of financial freedom. We have seen our parents scratching and crawling, and we believe it's the norm. That's deep.
That's real deep, and there's so much truth in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll definitely appreciate you sharing that. Wow.
It's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like talking about mental illness and dysfunction and family dysfunction, and really taking the stand of saying no more.
Yeah.
No more. So that's definitely a conversation that we should have, because our parents seen it, and now we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing to break the cycle?
Right. And I think that's really important
Yeah.
for us to realize that just because our predecessors, mom, dad, grandma, and all of them did it before us, that don't mean we have to do it the same exact way. And that don't mean it's fitting for us. You know, I think it's important for us to analyze ourselves and where we're going. You know, you don't have to forget about where you came from and forget about the people that came before you, but you just want to do what makes sense for you, right? Just because, you know, I mean, grandma and them didn't have as much information and knowledge that you have, you know, so they did the best that they could with what they had, literally. And now it's your turn. You got to do the same thing.
Yeah,
you know,
it's true, and realize where you are.
Right.
What era you're in, right? So back in the days, the grandmothers, we used to go to church every day. Speaking of church, last week, it may have sounded like I said, I don't go to church. I'm just saying I don't go as often as I used to. Read the comments. I don't go as often as when my grandmother used to take me. And now, due to COVID, we have to watch it virtually.
Yeah, so precious, what up, P? Having an open mind is the key to transformation. Definitely, because when you have that open mind, it allows you to pivot into a new way of life, a new way of thinking, new action steps. So definitely, that's a dope comment. Diana George, observing and listening is key. Yeah, definitely, because when you meet with somebody else, you want to definitely observe so you can have the conversation with those people. Who we got? June.
Catrice, that's a new name. Have you seen that name before?
No,
Catrice Hunt, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And I realize you may have tuned in before, but may have not commented. So thank you for commenting. And she says, this is an interesting convo. I hope to catch you again next Saturday. Have a safe and wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Catrice. We'll see you next Saturday. We're
Yes.
we really glad that you like the show.
My big brother, Robert Henderson III.
What's up, Bobby?
We got Mayor Gilbert. Shout out to Mr. Gilbert. Mayor Gilbert. We still the mayor to November. Mayor Gilbert on the line. Who else? Come on, now you. Oh gosh, I'm gonna be in timeout. Scroll down. Gina, my girl Gina. That's a 20-year plus friendship. What does financial stability mean? Yeah, we're gonna talk about that next week. DeLawrence Moore put the pots on the stove. DeLawrence Moore got that pot thing down pat. The more pots you have on the stove, if one fire goes out, then it's okay. That because you got other pots to eat from, right? So you got to have some pots on the stove. What are pots? As income sources. Shifting your mindset, getting out of the norm. You have to step out of your comfort zone. Yes, ma'am. All right, are we good? All right, we're good. We want to give a big shout out to Antonio for running the board this morning. He did a fantastic job, especially after he biked 100 miles yesterday. 100. So, hey, if you're thinking, how can I ride? I may not be able to ride. He did 100. You can do 10. You can do 5. You can do 1. And they're going to get up tomorrow morning and do 50 plus, and I'm going to be in my bed. All right, until next week, remember the American Cream is a financial educational show where we show you, teach you, lead you, guide you to redefine the American dream on your terms, not the terms that they told you and sold you in the history books, on your terms. And we do that by discussing credit, real estate, entrepreneurship, assets, and mindset. Until next week, y'all stay safe.
All right.
Peace.